The story begins with this guy hearing the conversation of these two men. They were talking about the huge amount of money this other guy got just because the monster they defeated dropped a rare item. Meanwhile, he checked into his bank account. He has been withdrawing a lot of money and has a little left in it. He thought of something that happened 50 years ago. It was just a fine and peaceful day in Tokyo. But suddenly, the peace turned into chaos. Dungeons started appearing in different areas of the world. And with this, humans also started to adapt. They have gained powers from the so-called classes. These powers were from these class books that can be retrieved inside the dungeons. People started risking their lives in order to gain powers to fight against these monsters. And those who found these books will receive an ability. And that was the start of the evolution of humanity. They started to conquer dungeons. And our main protagonist, Akisura Shu, also gained an ability. Shu was fighting this golem, and he used his ability. His main ability was called Appraisal. This allows Shu to find out information about the monsters he's fighting. He can see their strength, weakness, and the type of skills they have. He knew that this wood golem was slow, so he was able to dodge its attack. And with this knowledge, he also knew that he could cut this wood golem using his blade. And he did just that. Shu also knew about the weakness of this monster, and it is this crystal on its head. He destroyed the crystal, and the system showed him that he gained 30 experience points from defeating it, and he leveled up by 1. Our MC clearly struggled to defeat this monster even though he had all the information he needed against it. After defeating the monster, he took a picture of it. He also checked his status window because he leveled up. This is the current stats of our MC right now. He's 20 years old and he's a level 2. His other stats were below average. He thought that on top of having weak stats, his class called Appraisal was also useless, and there's no one he could ask about it because he's the only one who has it. Aside from the monsters, Shu can also use this ability towards other people, but this is against morality. While he was lost in this thought, the monster he defeated started to materialize. This is the process of monsters dropping items. Shu got this wood golem a fragment. A famous item that people also got from the dungeons were these appraisal papers. Their effects were basically like Shu's appraisal, and people buy these papers for 1,000 yen a piece. Shu thought that his worth was just like these papers. Our MC has dreamed of being an explorer since he was a kid. And right now, his hopes were crumbling down because he thought that he got a useless ability. At an explorer's guide in Tokyo, Shu works here as a part-timer. He's working as a human appraiser. The guild pays him money instead of using appraisal papers. And even if some adventurers talk behind his back, he knows that he's more than qualified to call himself as an explorer. After that, he proceeds on appraising more items that were given by the adventurers. This part-time work pays him 700 yen per item. That means it's 300 yen less than the appraisal paper. Shu has been doing this job right after he's done going into the dungeons. He's using his spare mana to earn some money. Our MC just gained 7,700 yen or $57 in just an hour. But this work consumes his mana. Back to his home, Shu was doing something. He checked his phone for a video that he just recorded. It's a little shaky, but he thought this would be enough. He was then back to what he was doing. He's typing something from his keyboard. Turns out, our MC has created his own YouTube channel. He plans to do this to earn some extra money. Shu was still wondering if people would be interested in this kind of content, but he did it anyway. He published his first video about this slime monster. After that, Shu decided to call it a day. But like a first-time YouTuber, he was not able to sleep waiting for his videos of progress. Just like me when I posted my very first video, Shu got 5 views after an hour. Part of him was not disappointed because he has no subscribers at all. He then decided to sleep and let it go. While he was asleep, these notifications started appearing. As more views were being recorded from his video, more notifications of gaining experience started appearing, and not long after, it raised Shu's level. Our MC woke up with this notification. Shu got up because he thought he just heard the level up notification. He then checked his status window. His level was up by 1. He really leveled up. This got Shu into thinking. He thought that this was just some kind of bug or something. but he got a little scared, so he investigated a little. He searched the internet for something related to his problem, but there's nothing to be found. While browsing his computer, he remembered the video he posted. Shu was so happy because the video gained 30 views overnight. He thought that this progress was already pretty good. He then posted another 6 videos all at once. The next day, our MC was back staring at something. Shu just found out that he's now level 5. He started to think of reasons why this was happening to him. And while he was doing it, he received a notification from his YouTube channel. Someone has commented on his video. Shu hurriedly opened his desktop and checked who it was and what the comment was about. This was the very first comment he got. It was from this user named Rian, and the message was thanking him for his guide. This made Shu so happy. This was really how YouTubers feel when they receive these kinds of comments. This made Shu feel that his appraisal ability was not useless at all. This guy has posted 7 videos and he got a total of 1,000 views combined. Shu was already satisfied with the amount of views his videos got. Not to mention the help that he'd given to these explorers who watched his video. And with that thought, Shu might have figured out something. He thought that he had shared some experience points because people watched his videos. This concept was like when a healer assisted another explorer in battle. Even if healers didn't get the kill, they will still get some experience because of their contribution. Maybe this was the same thing that was happening with Shu. He thought that those who watched his videos had defeated some monsters, and because he contributed some information, he also got some experience out of it. But our MC was still doubting this idea because it was too good to be true. Shu then decided to go out and confirm this thing. He went to a dungeon near him. Monster stats were already posted in several websites, but it only includes the popular ones. The ones that beginners need were not there. That's why Shu's guide on defeating a slime got viral. Our MC was now planning to post more videos for beginners, and he will start with these ones. Shu started recording and he fought this skeleton. And while he was fighting, he's been including key information for his video. The next monster was this zombie. Its attacks were powerful, but it was too slow, so beginners only needed to dodge its attacks. As for the wraiths, only magic attacks work on them, so if beginners don't have any magic skill, they should just run for their lives. After that, Shu finished his editing and posted the videos. This guy has just posted the beginner's guide for these undead monsters, and not long after, experience points started flooding in. Our MC got to level 10 in an instant. His stats were a little higher last time, and he gained a new ability called storage. Shu was so happy because his hypothesis was correct. This guy just discovered an overpowered way to level up. His videos have also started gaining more views. This guy was happy to know that this necklace camera that he bought was worth it. After all, he invested a lot of money for it. Shu then checked his new skill in his status window. It's like a storage box in a separate dimension. And right now, he could store items around the size of a cardboard box. Shu was getting guilty getting experience points like this, but his stats as an appraiser were really below average. He thought he should level up more before going to a dungeon himself. He then saw these new comments on his videos. Some of them were wishing for better edits. Shu was only using the top free editing softwares because his budget was limited. He also knew that right now, he can't afford to hire someone to do this job for him. Shu then saw this ad about a part-time dungeon job. Upon seeing the pay for this job, his world lit up. Shu checked the job and thought that this job was perfect for him. Our MC was now standing in front of this huge building. This place was owned by the Authors Guild. This is already a week after Shu applied for the job. He received an email saying he was chosen to be the part-time worker for this guild. He went to the front desk and introduced himself. Shu will be filling the role of a porter. A porter is the one who carries all the items that the explorers will get in the dungeon. The lady then escorted Shu into the meeting room. He was then led to this room. Upon opening the room, Shu saw these scary-looking men who all looked like veterans. He bowed and introduced himself, but no one cared about him at all. Shu expected this kind of treatment because, after all, he was just a mere porter. But then this man approached and welcomed him. His name was Kaizuma Shaogo. He's the guild master of Authors Guild. After that, The meeting started, but as Shu was finding a perfect seat for him, he bumped into this girl. He quickly said that he's sorry and tried to assist her. This girl didn't mind it at all and said that she's the one who should apologize. Shu noticed that this girl was a foreigner. Turns out, this girl will also be working today as a porter. Same as Shu, she introduced herself as Rian Eva. Shu then remembered the first person who commented in his video. Rian was also the name of that person. Then after that, they had a small talk. Rian started to wonder why Shu was not carrying any bag with him. Our MC then revealed his skill to Rian. He showed Rian his storage skill and he got himself a bottle of water. And right now, Shu's storage skill was already at level 3. He gained a lot of experience from his YouTube videos. His storage is now as big as a room. Rian suddenly felt jealous because Shu's skill was too useful. Shu then tried to make her feel better by saying that he doesn't have any combat skill. Rian's mood then brightened up and told Shu that she'll protect him no matter what. And then, the lights were turned off. The meeting has officially started. The leader of the Arthur's Guild revealed that the people involved in this meeting were from different guilds. And upon introducing the other explorers from the other guilds, this lady caught Shu's attention. He knew who this lady was. She's the leader of the Fresh Blood Idols Guild, Kyormine Shizuka, an A-rank explorer. Explorers' ranks were divided into several rankings, and the A-rank explorers were considered as the strongest. In Korea, there were only less than 10. Rian and Shu suddenly felt the pressure. While the meeting was still ongoing, Shu thought that this mission should not be that dangerous because he'll just be a porter. But then, his perspective changed when he heard what dungeon they would be entering. Their mission was with this A-rank dungeon called Sky Fortress. An A-rank dungeon was the most dangerous type of dungeon in the world. And this made our MC shocked. This particular dungeon got its name Sky Fortress because it is like a castle floating in the air. Shu was already losing his hope on clearing this mission. They were now in front of the Sky Fortress warp gate. Shu already wanted to leave, but this man was full of enthusiasm and he encouraged Shu that he could do it. After all, their mission was not to clear this dungeon but to scout and get more information about it. This lady then stepped up and told the explorers what they would do. As mentioned earlier, this lady was Kyormine Shizuka, the guild leader of the Fresh Blood Idols Guild. There were about 80 explorers who will be participating in this expedition and most of the strong ones were from her guild. Just by looking at their equipment and weapons, people could already tell that they were all strong. The warp gate was then summoned. The first group that will enter the dungeon will be led by Shizuka. Both Rian and Shu were already feeling out of place because of these strong explorers around them. Shizuka then spoke up again and was about to tell them who will accompany her in their group. Shu was already thinking that they would not be chosen because they were just mere porters. But then their names were called. Rian and Shu were chosen by Shizuka. This shocked these two. They didn't expect this. Shizuka then told them that these two were the best choice among the explorers present there. She had already gone through their information and recognized their potential. She also told Shu and Rian that they will receive a bonus compensation if they accept this request. Shu thought that some of the explorers would be against this idea, but as he turned his head around, all of them were quiet. Shizuka then told the two that they could refuse the offer. But then Shu remembered that he has been dreaming about this moment since he was a kid. And right now, he also has a chance to go with the strongest explorers in Korea. Our MC mustered his courage and told Shizuka that he'll accept the request. This decision shocked Rian, but then she also tried to speak up. She told them that she'll go as well. And with that, the first team was complete. Their mission then started right away. The people in the Fresh Blood Idols were all strong and they handled the monsters in the earlier floors with no sweat at all. At first, he was nervous because he didn't know what to expect. But seeing these guys fight, Shu calmed down. He then thought that the next floor will be the 6th one and this is where monsters start to get stronger. Just when he thought everything was gonna be just fine, this monster appeared behind him. The monster pounced towards Shu, but then it was slashed by Rian. Our MC quickly thanked Rian for saving him, but then he noticed something. Rian was really scared. While he was thinking about why Rian became an explorer in the first place, both of them heard someone shouting at them. The explorers found a monster's nest and they advised the porters to try and defend themselves. Shu started panicking as he doesn't have any combat skill, and this spider monster was already coming towards them. Rian tried to fend this monster off, but she's just too weak. Her sword was then thrown out and Rian fell down. The spider also used its skill to bind Rian. She now has nowhere to go. Shu knew that he had to do something about it. He used his appraisal skill and saw this spider's information. Its main attribute was it will cast a string to eat its prey later. Shu tried finding something in his storage that he could use against this monster. He got this insecticide and a lighter. He thought about making a flamethrower since the weakness of this spider was fire. He then pointed it out to the spider and tried using his flamethrower, but nothing came out. Our MC then remembered that he used this insecticide last night when he saw a cockroach in his apartment. The monster then attacked Rian. Shu tried running towards them to fend off its attack. He was able to get there in time. He was planning to sacrifice himself instead of Rian taking the hit. But right before all of this could happen, the monster's blood started to burst out. Shu and Rian turned their heads around, and they found Shizuka using her skill, Blood Bullet. This lady continued to attack this monster with her skill. Shu then realized the gap between him and this lady. She really is an A-rank explorer. After that incident, Shu and Rian went back and proceeded to continue their expedition. Rian also apologized because Shu was forced to protect her. She should be the one who's protecting Shu. She then told Shu that she will make sure that she will protect him next time. Shu then thought that Rian was really a nice girl. While the front lines were fighting the monsters, Rian asked Shu why he became an explorer. Shu then remembered something. There's someone in the hospital. Our MC was already lost in thought and Rian got him out of it. That's also the time when all of them were forced to halt. Shu can't believe what he saw right at that moment. The hall was suddenly filled with a heavy pressure. And then someone shouted that a wyvern just appeared. This is a B-rank monster and it has no weakness at all. Shu didn't expect to encounter this type of monster early on. His appraisal could also estimate the number of hunters needed to defeat this thing. It would take 3 B-rank explorers to defeat this B-rank monster. Right now, they have more than enough B-rank explorers with them. Not to mention, Shizuka, who was in a rank, was also with them. But then, these explorers heard something behind them. It was another wyvern. Normally, high-ranked monsters don't come in numbers, but this is in a ranked dungeon and these things were treated as weak monsters compared to the boss of this dungeon. Shizuka then dashed towards the other wyvern. She told her team that she'll take care of this one and they should hold off the other wyvern for a while. And she specifically gave this task to Shu. The wyvern then started its attack and it nearly hit Rian and Shu. This monster was really dangerous. This guy went in front of the wyvern and tried to slash it with his flame sword. Shu knew that the attack will be held ineffective because the wyvern has immunity with fire. He started thinking of ways to hold off this wyvern. Rian then appeared in front of him and told him that she will protect our MC. Shu can't really let this from happening all over again. He then shouted the skills of the wyvern to his fellow explorers. He told them that it has a fireball and sky attack skills. He also gave information on how these skills work. Shu clearly got the attention of his fellow explorers. Even though he's not sure if these high-rank explorers would even believe a mere porter, he did it anyway. He saw the doubt in their faces. But then someone responded. Shu suddenly felt warm inside. It was the guy with the flame sword. He then started on instructing his fellow guild mates about their plan on holding this wyvern off. This guy also told them that Shu shielded Rian using his body, and he would trust someone willing to do that. Shu really appreciated the gesture. After more instructions, this flame sword guy asked Shu if there's something more he would like to add. But before he could answer that, Shu saw the wyvern charging his fireball in its mouth and warned the team. These mages immediately casted ice shields to negate the attack, and it was effective. They were able to shield the fireball. Turns out, this prediction skill was Shu's newest skill called observation. He could see what the monster would do next. Shu told them that the wyvern was planning to use its sky attack next. The wyvern dashed towards the explorers, but because of Shu's warning, The vanguard was able to prepare and shielded the attack. The wyvern hit their shields that were filled with spikes. These spikes managed to cut the wyvern in its neck. And then Shizuka appeared to confront this wyvern. The people in her guild felt relieved upon seeing their master. This lady used another skill called Blood Drain. This skill was her signature attack. She has the ability to blood bend just like Kara. The wyvern was then left out to dry. It was defeated and it dropped an item. Shu was still amazed because of this lady's prowess. And then a series of notifications saying he gained a lot of experience from that fight. This was because all of the people in his team recognized his skill and contribution. Shu's level was raised again by 1. Rian also congratulated Shu because even though they were just a porter, he played such a big role. Our MC humbly thanked Rian for that. After that, Shu continued to assist the explorers with his appraisal skill. They have proceeded to the upper floors of the dungeon. He also didn't gain much experience because he was just assisting them, but it still made him level up to 22. After a while, the expedition team decided to rest for a bit. While gaining their stamina back, Shu has noticed something with his skill. He found out who's the strongest explorer in their team. He then heard a voice saying that it was the right choice to bring Shu with them. It was Shizuka. She praised Shu for his assistance. She also told him that Shu's appraisal skill did a huge help. Shu thought that he got in the group because of his storage skill. Shizuka said that she liked both of his skills, especially the newest one. That right there made Shu realize that this lady was something else because she was able to recognize his skill's importance. He then thought that maybe Shizuka also recognized Rian's power, that's why she also hired her. Shu was starting to think that this team would be able to clear this dungeon. As they kill more monsters inside, Shu continued to get more experience points, and right now, he is getting more than he used to be. This was because the trust of this expedition team to him has increased significantly. They don't think Shu was just a mere porter now. For every 10 levels that an explorer reaches, they will get a new skill, and every 5 levels, these skills get to be upgraded. Shu now hopes that he could level up more quickly to help this team with the best of his abilities. But then, Shu felt something bad was about to happen. There's an ogre patiently waiting at Rian's back. As Rian was walking and talking to Shu, the monster appeared and was about to ambush her. Shu tried his best to get Rian out of the rock's way, but he knew that he'll not make it in time. Out of his desperation, Shu used his storage skill. He tried storing the rock inside his skill. He was successful in doing it, but the impact was too powerful and he flew into the wall. At that moment, the remaining ogres started to appear as well, and the explorers were forced to fight for their lives. Meanwhile, our MC broke his arm and was not feeling well. Seeing him in his current state, Rian got furious and suddenly these gold mana appeared around her. Her sword was enveloped with this powerful mana. Shu knew that she had finally used her true power. She rushed to the ogre and cut him in half. This caught Shizuka's attention. The true power of Rian Eva was this. She has the class of Divine Summoner. Even if she was only level 16, her stats were out of the charts. There's also divine beasts residing inside her sword. The only problem was that she was not able to control her power. After killing the ogre, Rian quickly rushed towards Shu to take care of him. A healing potion was then thrown at Shu's direction and he was able to catch it. It was a potion from Shizuka. She told him that that potion was more than enough to heal his broken arms. Shu tried to not accept it because this was a very expensive item, but Shizuka insisted. She even teased Shu on opening the potion. Both Rian and Shu knew that she only did this to tease him, but it was effective. After this incident, Shizuka revealed that they will need to extend their contracts for a day because they were still planning to go further into the dungeon. This was not in the original plan, but this changed because of Shu. He had been a huge help. Shu tried to humbly deny it as he knew that the fresh blood idols were just too strong, but Shizuka told him that's not true. Turns out, they have already tried to explore this same dungeon last time, and they didn't even come this far. Shu could see it in their faces. They really appreciate his contributions. Knowing this, Shu felt a little warm inside. Shizuka even invited him to go to her guild after this expedition was over. Rian was happy because Shu just got scouted by this powerful guild. All this time, Shu thought that his ability was useless. But right now, he felt his value for the very first time. This moment where he was too happy was also the moment when they faced a disaster. Their expedition has really gone smoothly. They were able to reach floor 25, and then they stopped. This was because they were already in front of the door of the final boss of this dungeon. Some of the explorers were amazed because this was their first time to see the boss door of a ranked dungeon. And besides that, all they knew was behind this huge door, there's a powerful monster waiting for them. If explorers could defeat this dungeon boss, this dungeon will be gone forever. Inside the boss room, there's a self-destruct mechanism that can be activated. Shu thought that Shizuka and her team would not destroy this dungeon even if they were able to defeat the boss. This dungeon will be used for experiments, because after all, no one in the history of mankind has defeated in a ranked dungeon. Knowing this, Shizuka told the expedition team that they will now go back and will not proceed on fighting the dungeon boss. The other members also agreed with their leader's decision. They were all tired because they have been fighting all day. Shu was also relieved knowing that they won't be risking any lives today. But then they heard a voice saying these words. All of them were startled. The voice came inside the boss room. Shizuka immediately told the expedition team to stay alert. She knew that this was a dangerous sign. All of them held their weapons up high, prepared for anything that could come out of this room. Shizuka then started walking towards the door. She spoke and asked who's the creature on the other side. This monster answered that it also doesn't know. He dared the explorers to open the door and find out for themselves. Shu knew that this monster was just baiting them into opening this door. He also tried using his skill, but it didn't work. Shizuka answered back to the monster. She told it that they will not be entering its den right now. There's this common knowledge that the boss monsters in each dungeon cannot leave the room as long as no one opens it. But then the boss suddenly told them that he will just let himself out. These words caught all of them off guard. The door really started opening. A dark ominous aura also came out. And then, this creature greeted the explorers. This boss monster has the same features of elves. Shizuka asked this elf some questions while maintaining her defense up. But then this monster can't really answer anything because it has no knowledge of what he was. The only thing he knew was that he had to kill every single one of them. After he said these words, the heads of the two vanguards fell down. The expedition team suddenly felt the heavy pressure. They didn't know what just happened. Shizuka tried to respond and told her team that they should maintain their formation. Meanwhile, Shu was frozen. The realization started to kick in and he can't even move his body. Up until now, no one has died since they entered the dungeon. He forgot that dungeons were also called the Land of Death. Rian was not able to hold herself and she fell down. Shizuka then asked Shu about what his skill says about this monster in front of them. She kept on asking Shu, but it seems that Shu was still in a state of shock. Rian still tried to tell Shu to just hide behind her even though she was already trembling. After seeing this, Shu came out of his senses and used his skill. He saw that this monster was a dark elf. Its magic was double a rank, and its physical capabilities were at B rank. It also has 4 overpowered skills. The dark elf's expression changed. It now has this scary aura along with his smile. The dark elf asked the explorers how they were planning to defeat him. Shu took a few steps back. He knew that it would take at least 3 A-rank explorers to defeat this monster. But right now, all they have is Shizuka. Shu saw that a dark elf started casting his spell because magic circles appeared around him. He quickly warned them, but this elf's attack was too quick and powerful. None of them were able to defend it. All of them were blown away. Shu and the others tried to get up. The dark elf went right in front of him and asked how Shu knew that he would be attacking. This elf now has his attention on Shu. Shu knew that they couldn't defeat this monster. He said that they should try to retreat right now, but this annoyed the dark elf because he still wanted to play with them. He then casted another skill. The elf used his skill called Stone Shield and it blocked the explorers' only way out. Some of them tried to destroy this wall but they failed. The elf said that the density of this rock was too high just to be destroyed by mere explorers. But he said that there's 2 people among them that could destroy it. Shu already knew that these 2 were Rian and Shizuka. but Ryan still can't control her powers. He then asks Shizuka to take care of the wall while they try on holding the elf off. Shizuka was still doubting this decision because she knew no one could defend against this monster. But her guildmates stepped up and said that they will take care of this while she destroys the wall. Shizuka knew that this was the only option they had, so she made her way towards the stone wall. The dark elf got bored and was about to cast another spell. Shu knew this and warned them that this spell will be a mid-level water spell. The mages casted their wood spells as well as this one counters the water attribute. They were successful in defending against this attack, but this annoyed the dark elf even more. He casted another spell called Beast Summon and these little monsters came out. They were called the Dragonfly Carnivore. These monsters rushed towards Shu. Ryan came through and slashed these pesky dragonflies. The dark elf praised her for her outstanding skills. But then the attack was followed by this fire magic. The mages were able to put up a steel shield, but the dark elf told them that Shu was half wrong. Turns out, the fire magic was followed by oin magic. Shu tried to warn them. He closed his eyes because he thought that it was too late, but then a skill called Undaunted Heavy Armor was casted. This fended off the powerful attacks of the dark elf. These two reminded Shu that he should try and give more trust in them. This type of magic was no joke. It can only be casted by 2 knight classes and their bodies should be as hard as the steel for it to work. These two men started to celebrate because of their achievement, but Shu's face showed that something bad was coming. Shu shouted this man's name, but before he could talk for more, his head fell off. The other guy didn't have the time to react as well. He got heat. Welcome to the Donut Club, good sir. Meanwhile, Shu was devastated. He didn't feel any mana from the dark elf. The dark elf told him that he completed a chant before releasing the spell. And that's the reason Shu didn't detect the mana. Our MC was backed into the corner once again. Right when he was about to start enjoying his value as an appraiser, this tragedy happened. Shu can't believe that the weakest explorer was back to square one. He got excited that things will turn out to be fine, but that's not the case. But while he was still reflecting and regretting his decisions in life, lots of notifications started to pop out. These experience points were from his YouTube videos. Shu leveled up again, and the system showed him that he gained another skill. Right at this moment, Shu's world suddenly became brighter. Shizuka was also done making a hole through the stone wall. She also instructed all of them to start fleeing while she keeps this dark elf busy. The explorers ran towards the exit, but then the dark elf told them that no one would be able to escape. He casted another stone shield and a new wall appeared. It blocked their way out. He also made sure that Shizuka will not be able to break it again as he will be facing her now. Ryan fell down because she lost her hope of getting away from this dungeon. Meanwhile, Shu was just busy looking at his status window. Our MC smiled and told Ryan to stand up. He seemed to have a plan in mind. He also told Ryan to use her skill and summon a divine beast. Shu tried convincing Ryan while these two were fighting. Ryan told him that even if she will be able to do it, she can't control the divine beast at all. Shu assured Ryan that he will do his best to support her, and it got Ryan believing again. The other explorers were still trying their best to dodge the attacks of the dark elf. Shizuka also told them that they should focus on defending themselves. Shu knew that even their rank explorer was already having troubles. Then he heard Ryan summoning the divine beast. It is this mythical snake, divine god Orochi. Ryan has finally used her true powers. She started believing in herself. She was able to do this because she trusted Shu. Both of them held each other's hands. Shu then instructed Shizuka to go and try to break the stone wall again while both of them holds this dark elf. Even the dark elf was amazed with this divine beast. Shu assured Ryan again that he will be the one who will control Orochi, and she can focus on what she needs to do. Turns out, our MC's newest skill was called Copy, which lets him literally copy a skill from other explorers. He got this skill when he reached level 30, and now, both of them were enough to control the divine god Orochi. This divine snake really heard their request and recognized them as its masters. This made these two happy because they were successful. Ryan then gave her first order to this divine beast, and it was to kill the dark elf. Orochi immediately turned its attention to the Dark Elf. The Dark Elf then casted his Dark Bullet skill, but it was not effective. Orochi didn't even flinch. Orochi started attacking the Dark Elf after that. Meanwhile, Shizuka and the other explorers were still trying to break the stone wall. The Dark Elf was about to cast another spell to hinder them from escaping, but Rion told Orochi to prevent him from using magic, and the Divine Beast did just that. It was also the time when they broke through the stone wall. Shizuka told Shu and Rion that they will be going through. Both of them then followed the expedition team. The Dark Elf was left alone and accepted his defeat, but Orochi was still in front of him. Suddenly, this Lady Elf appeared and punched Orochi to the ground. She defeated the Divine Beast in just one hit. This Lady Elf was annoyed because the Dark Elf was not able to handle this matter while she was sleeping. The Dark Elf then found out the weakness of the Divine Beast. He could just fight it with his strength. After that, these two boss monsters went back to their room. We then found out that the name of the male elf was Da, and the name of the female one was Ha. Both of them wondered if the explorers would ever come back again, especially Shu. After the mission, the payment was successfully transferred to Shu's bank account. He was just expecting 150,000 yen, but it has increased to 1 million yen because the mission was extended. The 4 people who died in the dungeon were also given their proper ceremony, although their bodies were not here because they can't just go and retrieve them inside the dungeon. Shu, Rion, and Shizuka attended the funeral. This made Shu swear that he will come back to that dungeon and he will make the Dark Elf pay for what he did. He will personally take down the Dark Elf. Meanwhile, his video recording about this powerful boss got trending and it got more than 1 million views on YouTube. Lots of people got interested because this was a boss from in a ranked dungeon. Shu was also able to record other monsters inside the dungeon, and right now, he could make 57 videos. His previous videos also started to gain more views. And since he got 1 million yen from the mission, he was thinking of hiring editors to edit the videos that he has. Our MC was after the experience that he will gain if more people could watch his videos. And after some time, he already got to level 77. Shu was definitely satisfied with this progress. It's like passively earning experience points. Here is the new status window of our MC. He gained a lot of new skills as he leveled up. Some of his skills really improved, especially the storage skill, which was as large as a whole gym. He also gained a skill called Piercing Sight, which allows Shu to appraise monsters and things behind dungeon doors. Shu also went to a dungeon near him. This dungeon is a B rank and it has already been cleared. This dungeon has 100 floors and monsters only get stronger along the way. And that's the main reason why Shu came here in the first place. He then used his new skill called Spirit. Shu summoned a spirit named Xenakirus. Then dark smoke started to surround him, and this dark creature appeared in front of him. This is Shu's newest companion, Xenakirus. The spirit skill that he earned allows Shu to summon a spirit of the deceased, just like a necromancer or a summoner. Shu already recognized Xenakirus' power. He knew that this spirit was too powerful, but not as powerful as the divine beasts. But the only downside was every time Shu would ask him about a favor, he would charge his master money. This time, Shu needs assistance for around 8 hours and Xenakirus told him that he needed to pay 80,000 yen. This spirit takes money instead of mana, but as long as the deal was enforced, Xenakirus will follow anything that Shu wants him to do. This monkey even offered his master an additional 50,000 charge if he'll avail a portion of his power. Shu declined the offer and it annoyed Xenakirus. Not long after, monsters started to appear and surrounded Shu and Xenakirus. He then told his master that he will show him what an rank spirit could do. Xenakirus started to release his confined powers, and then he casted his spell towards these lizard men. Our newest spirit took all of them down with just one attack, and the item drops started appearing. Just like that, Shu gained 45,000 experience. Our MC now has a game plan. He will continue going in dungeons all by himself and at the same time establish his income for his YouTube revenue. Shu received a message from Rion, and it was about him being the same person who helped her on killing the slime. The first person who commented on Shu's YouTube channel was Rion. This girl thanked him again, Shu really found a nice girl. Zenitsugu then started teasing his master. Shu told this spirit that Rian was not his girlfriend. He also told him that all of Shu's money will be spent on paying Zenitsugu. Shu explained further that he's weak as an explorer. His stats were still around average even though his level has gone way up, and that he will be relying on Zenitsugu's power. Zenitsugu got embarrassed but was too shy to admit it. While they were still talking, Shu got another text. This time it was from his editor. The text said that the editor wanted to have an exclusive contract and he was inviting Shu over for a meal.